Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Happening now, the Wake County Board of Elections is meeting to certify last week's election results. We're watching the state and local races hanging in the balance.
And yesterday's rain is long gone. The sunshine is breaking out across our area. I'll tell you when we'll start to warm our temperatures back up.
Also breaking news, another beach house has fallen into the ocean in Rodanthe. The new warning issued today for visitors to avoid that beach. And back here in the Triangle, good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. The Wake County Board of Elections is meeting at this hour to certify the results of last week's election. They will be uploading their final absentee and provisional votes to the totals from election night.
Yeah, statewide race and some local races are hanging in the balance here. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie is at that meeting and joins us live right now. Laura, what have you found out?
It was the end of a long week for the board here. They've processed some 10,000 votes already this week. Those that have been approved and accepted have already been run through the vote scanner, but they have not been added up yet. That will be added up and uploaded this afternoon. They could make a difference in a handful of close races. The meeting got underway about an hour ago. The first order of business was hearing challenges to 70 individual voters. Erica Porter is chairwoman of the Wake County Board of Elections.
We have some deceased voters we have challenging, unfortunately, and that really hurts my heart. And we have some, folks who had a felony and they may not have completed it, and so we need to challenge those. And then we have some absentee challenges coming in today from the public.
Now, we're watching to see if the changes make any difference to the statewide race for Supreme Court, where Republican challenger Jefferson Griffin leads incumbent Democrat Allison Riggs by about 7,700 votes. We're also watching a state Senate race here in Wake and Granville counties. Republican Ashley Adams leads Democrat Terrence Everett by just 38 votes. We won't know who won this race until both Granville and Wake upload their final results. The losing candidate in either race will have until Tuesday to request a recount. In the meantime, something really unusual happened here this morning. Under state law, votes that were cast by someone who then died before Election Day are supposed to be discarded and were being discarded. But two daughters of older voters who passed away showed up and made the case for their father's vote to count. Some people on the Board of Elections here had also recently lost parents, and they voted to let those two votes stand. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
WRAL News team will certainly keep you updated on the canvass throughout the day. Be sure to tune in during our newscast from 4 p.m. to 7:30 tonight on WRAL.
Students at North Lenoir High School in LaGrange have extra law enforcement on campus today. Deputies are searching for a man accused of shooting two people. Authorities say Ryan Everett of LaGrange committed a robbery in Greene County last night. He's accused of stealing two guns and then shooting two people. Deputies are searching for him in the area along US 258 and Wheat Swamp Road near Kinston. Breaking news, another house collapsed in Rodanthe overnight. It was unoccupied, but the beach in front of Rodanthe is temporarily closed because of all the hazardous debris. The seashore is urging visitors to avoid the beach and ocean for potentially many miles to the south. 6 homes have collapsed in Rodanthe since May.
Starting to see some sunshine get through the clouds out there this afternoon across our area, paving the way for some warmer temperatures this weekend. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with a look at what'll be a nice weekend to get outside.
It really looks like a good one. Of course, we had a low pressure system help to bring us some rain yesterday. That low is moving offshore. Behind it, we are seeing winds coming out of the north, and it's a drier air mass. And so we're starting to see a bit more sunshine out there, but it will stay cool today. We'll start to see more warmth streaming in from the southwest as we get into the weekend, and that's going to allow our temperatures to warm up nicely to a little above normal. This is a look at our high-resolution satellite, and you can see east of Raleigh still a lot of cloud cover here. We haven't seen as many breaks in the clouds, but from Raleigh westward, we're seeing a good bit more sunshine, as well as down into Fayetteville. Coming up, I'm going to walk you through Futurecast so you can see when the rest of the viewing area will end up with a bit more sunshine. Chapel Hill certainly looking beautiful right now with a mix of sun and clouds. It's a little breezy now, 57 as our temperature with that northerly wind. Our temperatures temperatures are remaining cool. Our dew point's at 48. That means it's a nice dry air mass. Our temperatures are mainly in the 50s right now. 52 in Roxborough, 53 in Rocky Mount, 59 in Southern Pines, 57 in Clinton. And we're looking at a beautiful weekend. After highs in the upper 50s this afternoon, we'll see mid 60s for tomorrow and upper 60s for Sunday with gorgeous conditions, lots of sunshine and low humidity. We do have another front that will roll through later next week. We'll talk about how that will bring our temperatures back down coming up.
Covering Wake County, Raleigh's newest Trader Joe's location is now open. Doors open at 9 a.m. It's in the Brennan Station Shopping Center off Creedmoor Road. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey shows us the grand arrival of those shoppers today and the traffic impact people are expecting.
It's a party inside this new Trader Joe's location in North Raleigh. This new store opening could bring even more traffic to an area that's already pretty congested. So you can see video now of dozens of people lined up outside waiting for the doors to open. This will be Raleigh's second Trader Joe's location. The store is inside the Brennan Station Shopping Center on Creedmoor Road. That's one of the busiest thoroughfares in North Raleigh. We spoke with one woman who stood in line outside for over an hour.
I think it's really exciting that something is closer to us than going inside the belt line to the other one. And this is easier to get to and plenty of parking.
Trader Joe's will be open every day from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
A man charged with murder in Halifax County is now in custody in Virginia. Tyquan Brown was arrested in Franklin, Virginia. He's charged in the shooting death of Lamar Lashley in Weldon on September 23rd. A second man, Deshaun Taylor, is also wanted in connection with the killing. Anyone with information about where he might be should call police.
World leaders, including President Biden, are meeting in Peru today for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, APEC, the first global summit since President-elect Donald Trump's victory. Michael Mamoli reports from Peru.
President Biden on Friday kicking off his participation in the annual APEC summit, where the conversation will largely be driven by the man who's set to replace him in just over 2 months, President-elect Donald Trump. Now, officially, the agenda for this summit includes issues like mutual trade relationships, boosting sustainable development, investments in green energy initiatives. But this is the first time a lot of these world leaders will have had a chance to meet face to face since Trump's election and confront issues about how to prepare for things, especially like tariffs that Trump has threatened to impose, particularly on China, that could prove a major economic shock. Now, President Biden, for his part, wants to use this summit to focus on what he considers to be major accomplishments of his administration. We'll see that when he sits down for the first time with the new Prime Minister of Japan, along with South Korea's president. This is a relationship, of course, the U.S. has strong bilateral ties with each of these countries individually, but it's only been under Biden's leadership that these two countries have improved their own mutual relationship as part of an effort by the administration to counter the rising influence of China, as well as dealing with constant provocations from North Korea. Of course, one of the highlights of the summit will also be a face-to-face meeting President Biden is set to hold on Saturday with President Xi of China. Now, this is President Biden's third face-to-face meeting with the Chinese president, where the agenda will focus on predictability in this relationship, preparing for that handoff with Donald Trump. The APEC summit is the first of 2 stops that the president will make on this trip. He's set to meet with the G20 leaders in Brazil. This is going to be an opportunity for him to meet face-to-face with a lot of our European allies, many of whom Biden has said in the campaign trail in the recent weeks are concerned about what Donald Trump returning to office might mean. Mike Memoli, NBC News, Lima, Peru.
Major vaccine makers, including Pfizer and Moderna, are seeing their stock values tumble. The drop started quickly after President-elect Donald Trump named Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as his pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Kennedy is a well-known anti-vaccine conspiracy theorist. He has vowed to immediately start studying the safety and efficacy of vaccines when he takes office. However, he's promised not to take vaccines away from anybody. Rather, he says he wants people to be able to make informed decisions.
Also today, Renee, President-elect Trump is expected to announce North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum as his pick for Secretary of the Interior. Among his other cabinet announcements Thursday, he nominated former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins to lead the Department of Veterans Affairs. He also picked D. John Sauer for Solicitor General, Todd Blanche as Deputy Attorney General, and Emil Bovee as Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General. All 3 have been members of his criminal defense team.
The members-elect of the 119th Congress gathered on the steps of the U.S. Capitol this morning. The lawmakers came together for a class photo featuring the incoming members of the legislative branch. They are in D.C. for orientation. After the group photo, they had individual photos taken as well.
Next at noon, opening statements in the trial of an undocumented migrant accused of killing a nursing student in Georgia. How the prosecution is laying out its case.
Also, police in Honduras posted this video to Facebook overnight. It is flooding from Tropical Storm Sarah as it hit Central America, where it's headed next.
Plus, Japan's oldest member of the royal family has died. Princess Yuriko's connection to the emperor.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center following some breaking news. The Texas Supreme Court has ruled against lawmakers allowing for the execution of Robert Robertson. Robertson is on death row for his daughter's shaken baby death back in 2002. He was tried and convicted of capital murder in 2003. The House Criminal Jurisprudence Committee has issued a subpoena last month for him to testify about his case, and that ultimately halted his October 17th execution with hours to spare. But the state attorney general's office challenged the move in an emergency filing with the state Supreme Court. They are saying that execution can now happen.
The trial of the undocumented migrant accused of killing a nursing student is now underway. The murder ignited fresh debate over the border crisis and garnered national attention. Jose Antonio Ibarra is an undocumented migrant from Venezuela. Ibarra agreed to a bench trial, which means the judge will decide his guilt or innocence. He's accused of killing the Augusta University student here you see on your screen, 22-year-old Laken Riley. This was back in February of 22, and she was on a run at the time on the University of Georgia's campus. Investigators say there's no evidence Ibarra and Riley knew each other.
An Alaska Airlines flight made an emergency landing after blowing out a tire during takeoff. Passengers reported hearing a loud pop and feeling the plane shake right after takeoff last night from Dulles Airport. Pilots still flew the plane to Los Angeles, but then declared an emergency landing to have extra support available if needed. And the plane landed in California around 11 our time with no injuries. 175 passengers and 6 crew members were on board.
New images show North Korea's leader watching test flights of exploding drones. The Korean Central News Agency released the images. They are heavily pixelated and conceal the configurations of the drones. The images also show what appears to be a sedan being blown up and an old model tank being destroyed. It comes as the U.S. holds combined military drills with Japan and South Korea to show their stance against North Korea.
Elon Musk met with Iran's ambassador to the United Nations this week. That's according to a New York Times article citing 2 Iranian officials. The meeting on Monday between Musk and Iranian officials was held at a secret location in New York. It lasted more than an hour. And according to the New York Times, the discussion focused on how to diffuse tensions between the U.S. and Iran. Biden administration officials at the UN were not notified that the meeting was happening. They still have not independently confirmed it happened. President-elect Trump is bucking a long-established norm in Washington. His transition team is bypassing the traditional FBI background check for some of his cabinet picks. People close to the planning say the team is using private companies to conduct vetting of potential candidates for administration jobs. According to sources, Trump and his allies believe the FBI system is slow. Critics also say the intrusive background checks could turn up embarrassing information used to inflict political damage. Regardless of what intelligence is gathered, the president has a final authority on who he nominates.
The number of suicides in the military went up in 2023. A new report from the Pentagon shows 523 suicides across the military in 2023. That is up from 493 the year before. The Army reported the most suicides, but preliminary numbers show the number is down this year. Military officials cite an emphasis on safe storage for guns and drugs. They also say there's a renewed effort to limit stress in soldiers' lives. If you or someone you know needs help, you can contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at any time. That number is 988. You can also visit WRAL.com and search Get Help for additional resources in our area. The oldest member of the Japanese royal imperial family has died. Japanese Princess Yuriko died at a hospital in Tokyo Friday. That's according to the Imperial Household Agency. She was the wife of wartime Emperor Hirohito's brother. Princess Yuriko was 101 years old.
Honduran police patrol flooded streets after Tropical Storm Sarah made landfall yesterday. The storm also threatened to dump torrential rain across parts of Central America and southern Mexico. The U.S. National Hurricane Center in Miami said Sarah was forecast to drop 10 to 20 inches of rain with up to 30 inches in some places, and warned that the heavy rain could lead to life-threatening flooding and landslides. A serious situation there. Meanwhile, we are drying out. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, and our temperatures will be changing as well. Elizabeth.
Yeah, it was chilly yesterday and today. Yesterday, we were in the low to mid 50s, looking at mid to upper 50s for today with a northerly wind. But that low pressure system sliding away from us is going to decrease the amount of air that comes out of the north over the next 24 hours or so. That's going to allow us to warm up, especially with a lot more sunshine. We take a look here at satellite from Raleigh southward and Raleigh westward. We're looking at a lot of sunshine, but east of Raleigh, especially northeast of Raleigh, we're still seeing a good bit of cloud cover. As the low pulls away from us, it will allow for more clearing this afternoon. You can see back around Greensboro and Charlotte, we're mostly sunny. And so we'll see more of that as we get through the afternoon. Take a look at Apex this afternoon, and you can see a nice mix of sun and clouds. It looks a little gray right now, but there are plenty of holes in the clouds, and we'll see the sunshine increasing as we get through the afternoon. 57, our current temperature around the triangle. A dew point of 48 means that it's very dry out there right now. Taking a look at temperatures, we're mainly in the low to mid 50s right now, but should climb on up to almost 60 degrees in most places, especially Fayetteville, where it's 58 right now. 59 Southern Pines, 58 in Clinton. Those temperatures likely to climb into the low 60s. It's 53 in Rocky Mount and in South Hill right now, where it's more likely to be in the upper 50s for highs. Headed to football Friday games. Weather will look fine. We'll see mostly clear to partly cloudy skies at game time, with temperatures dropping from the mid 50s to around 50 and then into the upper 40s by the time the games are over. And it should be, as long as you're wearing a jacket, coat, pretty comfortable out there. Our normal low is 40 degrees, and we'll be a little above that for the next 5 days, except for Sunday, where we'll see an overnight low of 39. Still nowhere in the 7-day forecast do we have any hard freeze. We still haven't seen one yet this fall, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen at least in the next 7 days. But after that, we actually have the potential for some colder than normal temperatures. So we may see it by or around Thanksgiving. A warm weekend, though, in the meantime. Our normal high is 63, so cooler than that today, but mid to upper 60s for Saturday and Sunday with lots of sunshine, and that continues Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with highs in the low 70s, so nice mild temperatures continue. The Senators play here at Hurricanes tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We should have nice conditions for tailgating. The afternoon highs, again, we're going to be in the mid 60s. We'll drop into the 50s during the evening and mid 40s as folks are coming out of the game. Tonight, with some clearing, you might end up seeing the last supermoon of the year. It should be full overnight tonight, and you may see that too if you're tailgating or out at the Hurricanes game. Should be a nice, big, beautiful moon. We'll continue to warm things up through the beginning of the week. This brown shaded area is warm temperatures. The blue and purple are cold temperatures, and behind Wednesday's front, we do see a big drop in our temperature, and it looks like that's going to stick with us into the first weekend, the weekend before the holiday, and continue all the way through Thanksgiving and that weekend. We'll have the potential for below normal temperatures, and during that time frame, our normal is 60 degrees. So looks like it could be pretty chilly. As a matter of fact, take a look at Thursday. Behind Wednesday's front, our high temperature likely to be 57, and that will begin some cooler temperatures that could last potentially for a week or so. We're going to take a closer look at Sarah and talk about all of the region down there in Central America that could be affected by the flooding.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Coming up on WRAL News at 5, expired food and utensils that weren't getting clean enough were just some of the problems found at local restaurants recently. 5 on Your Side has this week's restaurant ratings.
And tonight at 6, homicide rates are down in both Raleigh and Durham. We take a close look at the possible reasons for the drop. Also still ahead this noon, we will look at 2 hospitals in our viewing area that got the worst grades in the state for safety.
Plus, President-elect Trump's transition team aims to kill President Biden's EV tax credit for consumers. We'll take a closer look at why coming up after the break.
5 on your side is closely watching today's business headlines as President-elect Donald Trump plans to get rid of President Biden's EV tax credit program when he takes office. That's according to a report from Reuters. Ending that $7,500 tax credit is being discussed as part of the broader tax reform legislation. The tax credit was a big part of Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Ending it could be a big blow to EV sales, which have already been falling.
Advance Auto Parts is closing more than 700 locations. The retailer says the closings are part of the plan to improve business performance. Around 500 corporate-owned locations will close, along with roughly 200 independently operated stores. Advance Auto has 5,000 stores. The chain says people are dealing with an uncertain economic climate.
From a Raleigh-based company there. The Thanksgiving weekend could be a record setter for shopping. More than 183 million people plan to shop online or in stores for Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. It would top last year's record by more than 1 million. The majority of people surveyed said the deals around Black Friday and Cyber Monday are just simply too good to pass up.
2 hospitals in our viewing area got the worst grades in the state for safety. The Leapfrog Group maintains a report card for hospitals, ranking their safety and focus on preventing medical errors. Central Carolina Hospital in Sanford and Granville Medical Center in Oxford were the only hospitals in North Carolina to earn a D grade. All of the Triangle's hospitals got an A or B. To see the full list and how your local hospital scored, go to WRAL.com.
A ramp onto I-440 is closing for construction tonight. The Melbourne Road ramp onto 440 there eastbound will close at 9 o'clock, and it's expected to be closed for 9 days as crews work to rebuild a new entrance ramp. The ramp will reopen 5 a.m. Monday, November 25th. The project was originally slated to start earlier this month, but was moved to today. Detour signs are posted.
Covering Orange County, the Arts Commission is kicking off the holiday season with its annual Makers at the Mill Holiday Bazaar. It is happening tomorrow from 10 until 4 at the Eno Arts Mill in Hillsborough. This free event features 45 artists, crafters, and makers. Kick off the holiday season with a WRAL tradition for more than 50 years. It's the 80th annual Raleigh Christmas Parade. Join us live November 23rd for dazzling floats, festive music, and a spectacular Santa finale. Grab your cocoa, gather the family, and tune in for a front row seat to all the unforgettable holiday fun. Coverage kicks off at 9 a.m. That is a week from Saturday, November 23rd.
And while you're downtown, happening today, you can park for free in parts of downtown Raleigh. Next at noon, what you need to know about the plan. The city hopes will bring in more visitors.
Fires spreading across the New York region. Up next, the emergency warning in the Northeast as firefighters battle a historic dry spell.
And have a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now. Renee and I will be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Starting today, you'll be able to park for free in some parking decks in downtown Raleigh.
WRAL's Nick Perlin explains how you can take advantage of the new push to bring more visitors to the city.
For the next few months, people who want to come downtown have a chance to save a couple extra bucks with free parking for 2 hours at certain downtown lots. Now take a look at this. These are the 5 parking decks in downtown Raleigh that will have free 2-hour parking for the next 2 months. These decks include the Blunt Street deck, the City Center deck, the Moore Square deck, the Wilmington Street Station deck, and the Municipal Building deck. Now, in case you forget the names of those decks, there will be yellow balloons at the entrance of those parking lots, letting you know that you can park there for free for 2 hours. This is starting today, and this is something the Raleigh Business Alliance has been advocating for, and now the City Council has agreed, and shoppers think it will be a much-needed boost to downtown.
I like it. I think it'll bring a lot of people here. It's been a lot emptier after COVID, and Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new stores opening up, there's a lot of new businesses, and try a lot of locations out.
Now, this is just a pilot program, so it will be ending in February 2025. But if it's successful, we could see it be a long-term solution. In downtown Raleigh, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Cumberland, Orange, and Johnston counties. We start in Cumberland County, where Fayetteville residents may want to think about raking their leaves this weekend. The city starts its leaf pickup. Seasonal leaf pickup Monday. Collection dates will be based by zip codes and run through the end of January. Residents should make sure their piles of pine straw and leaves are right out there on the curb before their assigned pickup date. The Orange County Arts Commission is getting into the holiday spirit with its annual Makers at the Mill Holiday Bazaar. It's happening tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Eno Arts Mill. The event features 45 artists, crafters, and makers. It is free and open to the public. And starting today, kids in Clayton can drop their letters and send them off to Santa at the Hokett Ellington Memorial Library. Kids will be able to fill out their names, addresses, and check the naughty or nice box before placing them in the elf's mailbox. Families can expect a personalized response from the North Pole. Letters to Santa will run through Saturday, December 14th.
People who live near Raleigh's Village District are sharing their concerns about a proposed social district there. So this map shows where the borders of that social district would be. Dozens of people attended a community meeting on the plan last night. The company that owns Village District wants to make it a sip and stroll like downtown Raleigh. Many people who are against the idea mention crime and underage drinking spilling over from Glenwood South. Others say that's comparing apples to oranges.
I'm a father of 2 college-age children. They're not going to go to the Village District to drink. They're going to go to Glenwood South. I mean, there is no sip and stroll in Glenwood South. So that's a different crowd.
We do not have high rises. We have single family dwellings on the first floor. So when the drunks come from Glenwood South down our street, we hear them.
There was no vote on the plan last night. A formal vote is likely to go before City Council early next year.
The fire danger is expected to ramp up this weekend in the Northeast, with windy conditions expected to add fuel to the ongoing bone-dry drought conditions. Emily Kenner reports even New York City has not been immune from brush fires popping up.
This morning, there are growing fears strong winds could fan the flames of wildfires across the Northeast over the next couple of days. In New York City, smoke seen above Upper Manhattan as a brush fire burned at Inwood Hill Park this week amid a historic dry spell in the Big Apple.
As these dry conditions continue, we anticipate that we will see more of these before rain comes.
New York City's fire department says it has responded to a record 229 brush fires over a 2-week period. The Jennings Creek fire, burning in both New York and New Jersey, is now 50% contained, nearly a week after it started. Some nearby schools are closed today as a precaution, as crews use smaller controlled burns in an effort to contain the larger blaze.
We are setting fire to fight the fire. Don't be alarmed. It's where we want it. It's fire that we're putting down to do a job.
Nearly 60% of the Northeast is currently under moderate drought, with it especially pronounced in New Jersey, the state seeing its driest conditions in nearly 120 years. This fire in Burlington County has been burning since July 4th. Parts of Pennsylvania, New York, and all of New Jersey and Delaware are under drought watches and warnings with voluntary water conservation efforts. Climate scientists say if the Northeast doesn't see rain soon, we can expect more fires through the holiday season.
That was Emily Kenner reporting. Some much needed help is coming to schools impacted by Helene in the western part of our state. 15 choirs from all across Wake County joined the Raleigh Youth Choir for the Songs of Hope benefit concert. The event at Raleigh Memorial Auditorium raised money for Notes of Hope. That's a nonprofit that supports music programs in western North Carolina. Those programs severely damaged by Helene. Ken Smith was there emceeing it last night, burning the midnight oil. To cap the night off, the Raleigh Youth Choir presented the founders of Notes of Hope a check for more than $22,000. That money will be used to replace instruments, sheet music, and other music supplies in western North Carolina.
WRAL and Fox 50 are your homes for NFL action in Week 11. On Sunday at 1 on Fox 50, the Green Bay Packers will be at Soldier Field in Chicago to play the Bears. Then at 7, turn it over to WRAL for Football Night in America. On Sunday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers will host the Cincinnati Bengals. Kickoff is at 8:15.
Kicked out of school before the age of 5. What's driving a troubling trend of preschoolers getting expelled? Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories. For coverage you'll find only on WRAL, visit WRAL.com and search only.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
WRAL is following breaking news within the last 30 minutes. A group of attorneys says they will pursue new legal action against NC State.
Yeah, this is about people who have worked or studied in Poe Hall and believe chemicals in that building made them sick. WRAL's Chris Levengood has this breaking update, and Chris Keeley Arthur has followed this and provided the news team with this information.
She did, Jeff, and is working on another story at this time. And to be clear, this information was only sent to WRAL. Now, as for this legal action, a group of 4 law firms representing those people who spent time in Poe Hall and say they later got sick are targeting several parties. This includes NC State and Monsanto, who manufactured PCBs, which are known to cause cancer, and were found in Poe Hall. This action is coming after attorneys for a former NC State graduate student were able to test inside Poe Hall for the presence of PCBs. Now, transparency here. WRAL has not seen the results of that testing, but at this point, it's unclear how that has played into the decision to pursue legal action. Through WRAL Investigates reporting, more than 200 people reported cancer diagnoses after spending time in Poe Hall. And it's important to note that at this time, no connection has been made between those cancer cases and the PCBs found in Poe Hall. WRAL right now is contacting Monsanto and NC State for a response. We will bring you an update as soon as we have that.
Chris, thank you. Up next, educators are sounding the alarm on the unseen crisis of preschool expulsion.
Yeah, we're going to look at the nationwide trend and the solution on how to reverse the numbers. And we bring you back this noon hour with a live look here in Chapel Hill. And the blue skies are breaking through those clouds there as you watch WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
There's a troubling trend nationwide. More preschoolers are getting expelled or suspended. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says the rate is 3 times more for preschoolers than children in K through 12.
Yeah, now educators are sounding the alarm about it, and Joe McCoy shows what some schools are doing to reverse that trend.
Number 3. Reading time at Grace Neighborhood Nursery School in Uptown is an essential part of the day.
We've always had a very developmental, play-based approach to what we do.
The preschool ran by Barb Murphy is part of the solution in turning the page on preschool expulsion and suspension rates that have educators sounding the alarm.
I have been working on this study for a couple of years.
At a community briefing Thursday hosted by St. David's Center, Dr. Tim Zhang with the Institute for Early Education Leadership and Innovation in Boston presented his research. Zhang found that 49% of preschool teachers said they suspended a kid in the past year. Black children account for almost 50% of public preschool suspensions, but less than 1/5 of all preschoolers. Children with disabilities are also more likely to be suspended, and boys are expelled 4.5 times more than girls.
The children have to learn about the problem-solving skill in this in-classroom setting instead of just sending them home.
Grace Neighborhood is doing just that.
They are living in the real world, and we have to understand their world so that we can tailor our strategies to meet them where they are.
Murphy says these early developmental years are foundational for lifelong success.
The troll was bursting with anticipation.
That's why the preschool takes an individualized approach with each student.
We want every child to leave here to say, I like school and I know how to do school.
That's an eye-opening age group right there for that. There's Joe McCoy reporting. DMVs all over our state are back online now after a glitch caused dozens of them to close. The issue affected 112 locations yesterday. Among them was the Spring Forest location in Raleigh. The DMV says for the last 24 hours they've had issues connecting to the mainframe at the Department of Information Technology. The problem also affected self-serve kiosks.
Stargazers have a special reason to look up to the sky tonight. You can maybe catch a glimpse of the last super moon of the year. That's when a full moon happens while it is at its closest approach to the Earth, making the moon look brighter and bigger than usual. This moon will also be a beaver moon. It got its name because November is when beavers prepare for winter by strengthening their dams and storing more food.
And with any luck, we'll get some of these clouds out of here. We'll be able to see that moon tonight. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We're on our way.
We are. We're starting to see some clearing, pretty much right on schedule. I'll show you futurecast, and you can see just when you may clear. I'm definitely seeing some clearing from Raleigh westward and even south and west. The low pressure system that brought us all that rain yesterday is moving on out of here. We're starting to see some clearing. Still a few sprinkles closer to the coast there, and that's where we're having more cloud cover hanging out. So here's a look at futurecast as we head through the afternoon, especially once we get past 3 or 4 o'clock. We finally start to see a bit more sunshine around Rocky Mount and Goldsboro, and the sunshine should help to warm us up a little bit. We do still have a flow coming out of the north, so it's going to be a balancing act between that sunshine and that northerly wind. Notice here around the triangle, we're looking at about 60 to 70% of the sky covered with clouds now, but by the time we get to 5 or 6 o'clock, it drops dramatically. So that means we should have a good chance of seeing the supermoon tonight as we drop down to around 5 to 10% of the sky covered with clouds. So nice evening on the way. Temperatures will drop into the 40s. Fayetteville looking partly cloudy. Apex a little more cloud covered. Chapel Hill beautifully partly cloudy and a little bit more cloud cover there in Raleigh. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. It is a little breezy. Our wind is coming out of the north, so if you're out there and it feels a bit breezy, it might feel nippy too since it's coming out of the north. We're looking at anywhere from 7 to 13 miles per hour and some gusts in a few places. Southern Pines and Goldsboro both gusting to around 16. We shouldn't have gusts much higher than that through the afternoon. We look at a beautiful weekend ahead. Get out and enjoy it. We're going to see some mild temperatures over the next 5 days or so before we turn noticeably cooler for a while. 65 tomorrow, 67 for Sunday. Just really pretty weather to get outside and enjoy. Our next front comes through late Wednesday into Thursday, and that'll bring some rain with it. You can see some moisture coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico. Notice how it kind of breaks up over us potentially. I mean, this is way down the line, almost a week from now. So hopefully some of that rain will hold together. We could definitely use it. But around this low, we're probably going to get a big dive of colder air. We'll start to feel that Thursday. That's going to be the week before Thanksgiving. And then that below average air will continue to push on into that weekend. And that's going to be the weekend before Thanksgiving that we start to see the temperatures really dropping. Tropical storm Sarah is causing a lot of problems for folks here in Central America. Lots of heavy rain, as much as 20 to 30 inches because it's moving so slowly. So we've already seen some video today of Honduras where they're really dealing with some life-threatening flooding and landslides. And the storm will continue to move across the Yucatan Peninsula slowly, and it is likely to continue to cause some problems. At this point, it looks unlikely that it would move into the Gulf of Mexico and redevelop, but we'll definitely keep our eye on it next week. Warmest day of the week for next week, 72 degrees, and then nice and mild up until Wednesday. And then once that front comes through, turning noticeably colder for Thursday. We may have a string of days for maybe a week or so where we're below normal.
Hoodie weather's coming. Like it. Mike Tyson is proving age ain't nothing but a number. Look at him. He's ripped. The boxing legend and Jake Paul are getting ready to fight. Details on this big boxing matchup next.
Okay, then.
Live look this noon at the downtown Cary Park. What a beautiful setting that is. The clouds, they're going to break up. We're going to get more of the blue skies and a little bit of a warm-up for this weekend headed our way. Can't wait for that. As we wrap things up this noon, we have a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today.
The Wake County Board of Elections is meeting at this hour to certify the results of last week's election. They will be uploading their final absentee and provisional votes to the totals from election night. The board processed some 10,000 ballots this week. Those that were accepted by the board have already been run through the scanner, but they haven't yet been added up. That will happen this afternoon. They could make a difference in some close races. Students at North Lenoir High School in LaGrange have extra law enforcement on campus today. That's because deputies are searching for this man accused of shooting 2 people. Authorities say Ryan Everett of LaGrange committed a robbery in Greene County last night. He's accused of stealing 2 guns and then shooting 2 people. Deputies are searching for him in the area along US 258 and Wheat Swamp Road near Kinston.
Just got this picture into the WRAL newsroom. Another house collapsed in Rodanthe overnight. No one was inside, but the beach in front of Rodanthe is temporarily closed due to hazardous debris floating around there. The seashore is also urging visitors to avoid the beach and ocean for potentially many miles to the south. 6 homes have now collapsed in Rodanthe since May.
Mike Tyson hits the boxing ring tonight in his first professional fight in more than 19 years. The 58-year-old former heavyweight champion will take on 27-year-old YouTube sensation turned fighter Jake Paul. This is video of the boxers weighing in prior to their match in Texas. The two were set to face off earlier this year, but that match was postponed when Tyson experienced an ulcer flare-up. The fight will be streaming on Netflix starting at 8 tonight.
Give me Iron Mike. I don't care. He's 58. Emmy-winning TV personality Conan O'Brien will host the 2025 Academy Awards in March. The organization behind the ceremony made the announcement earlier today. O'Brien is taking over for fellow late-night staple Jimmy Kimmel, who has hosted the last 2 Oscars. Philadelphia Eagles have 6 wins in a row now. They took down the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. The Eagles trailed Washington 10-6 going into the 4th quarter, but then exploded. Look at the Eagles fly there. Touchdowns, 3 of them in the final quarter. Pulled in front. They got the win 26-18 and hold on to first place in the NFC East.
Mattel celebrates a woman who left her mark in the ballet world. A Maria Tallchief doll was developed as part of Mattel's ongoing Inspiring Women Barbie series. Tallchief, a Native American from Oklahoma, was born in 1925. She danced in the New York City Ballet and performed worldwide for years. In honor of the late Tallchief, Mattel is facilitating a donation to the Center for Native American Youth.
Well-trained fire crews are saving the day by rescuing house pets from fires in Las Vegas. Fire officials say when fires break out, animals hide. Crew members are taught search techniques specifically to find pets under beds, in closets, and in corners. Once they're found, the rescue teams have masks on board in different sizes for different sized pets, and a well-trained crew who is ready to help no matter the size of the animals or breed.
A German Shepherd or a Husky, larger animals like that, we'll have them on their side when we do CPR. Smaller dogs like Chihuahuas and Pekingese, we're going to do like an infant. We would do CPR with hands wrapped around.
Yeah, just like they were ready to help house cat Puka, who's now fully recovered and back with his family. Good saves there.
Mm-hmm. We appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us. We hope you have a wonderful Friday and weekend. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can also get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great, safe weekend.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.